Hey, what's up? Well, I don't know how this video is gonna work out, but I hope that it won't do the slow motion thing. And I found a very interesting trick for how to put a light of sorts, without using the phone flash. Basically, I don't know, well, you can't see it, but I have these cute little, like, 3-drawer containers from Five Below, and my only regret is not buying a clear one because then it would work out even better. But I put a flashlight in the top drawer and I put the phone between the bottom and middle drawer to prop it up like a stand with a light shining directly onto my face. And if I wear sunglasses, it shouldn't hurt my eyes too much. But the only thing is I wish it would be clear instead of blue, because I mean blue is going to filter out the red light. So anyway, what I want to talk about in this video is a number of things, and I'm just really hating my life right now. It's just so miserable this time of year. I mean, I would have to say the time between roughly the 4th of July or July and October 1st, those are the 3 months that I wish would fly the fastest. But they're the 3 months that feel like they drag on forever, with the heat. And it's just so frustrating because our 2-year-old refrigerator decided not to work anymore. And that makes absolutely no sense, at 2 years old, that it would just give out. Because, we've had them last almost 50 years. Or one of them, that was actually the age of Macaulay Culkin, whose birthday I think is today, but I'll probably postpone this video. And he's 44. And so, yeah, we've had some refrigerators last a long time, the ones that were built in the 80s. See, that's what I don't understand about the world, is why are we going back in time? Why is it that things used to last, but now they don't? People used to go to the moon. Now they, can't hardly back out of the driveway anymore without a camera. So yeah, the world kind of sucks, and this idea that things just keep getting better all the time, kind of doesn't make any sense, and it just completely disproves evolution, because it's like, why would, who's to say that things would improve over time? You know what I'm saying? This idea that everything was just chaos, and then one day it just got better and better and better, doesn't make any sense. I believe that things were created perfect. There was God's perfect design, and then everything kind of fell apart at some point. So yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me. And so I want to talk about a number of things in this video. As we get towards September, I need to, this is not an unboxing, but I've already unboxed this one. This is a Lottie doll, and she is about the size of a Stacy doll, from the 90s, and decided to get a Lottie instead of a Finn, who is the boy, because I felt like, at this point, I guess I always start out that way, get a sort of butch-looking androgynous girl, and then that's never enough. But I don't want to buy a bunch of Lottie dolls. I just think she's special because, she's a 7.5-inch doll, and what I really wish with the dolls is that instead of changing to a different size, like they went from making the dolls one size and then they'll start making them a different size. Well, I wish they would just continue on with dolls that size and just add, introduce more sizes. Like these 7.5-inch craft dolls are about the size of a Stacy doll. And that's one thing in the video I had to delete because it went bad. I was talking about how in 1991 I used to have a craft doll, and she was about this size, and that's why I say, dolls are not really, I don't think children should be the only or the main recipients of dolls, because they don't take care of things, and they don't always value things. But I had named her Melissa, and I hated the fact that she was in like a pillow dress that was made like a Victorian hoof dress, and inside there she was naked. But this doll it's very similar, except she had the set eyes, which don't close. This is the sleep eyes. They're like set eyes that open and close. And then, of course, there's painted on like a Barbie and most other dolls. So, you know, she was special, and I didn't realize just how special that was until I no longer had her. But, you know, there's a number of things that I'd like to talk about in this video. And one of them, you know, I'm just so angry that, you know, one of the reasons it's so hard to get somebody to come work on our refrigerator or to get it repaired is because in freaking August, you know, the guy that was supposed to come is claiming to have COVID. And I really just think that's a catch-all phrase for, I have a cold and I don't want to go to work. That's what I really think it translates to. Whatever happened to the days of just going to work with a sniffle, or, you know, school, you just go to work or school with a sniffle like me, and you just pretend that it's allergies, you know, so that no one can tell you to miss. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would have been totally embarrassed, you know, to say, Mr. Professor, I can't go to school today because my nose is running and I think I might be sick. You know, I'd have freaking, oh my gosh, that would have been so freaking embarrassing. Like, I never did that the whole time I was in college. And I really hated the fact that, you know, my mom ever made me miss school, or basically forced me to miss school. But, you know, when I really think about it, from 7th grade onward, I don't know that I missed more than I never missed more than one day for any one particular cold. Like, there was never a cold that kept me out of school for 2 or more days. Certainly from 7th grade onward, and probably not even 5th grade onward. Like, when I look at the absences that I used to have, it was never like consecutive absences. Like, I never missed a Monday and then a Tuesday and then that Wednesday. And it was never like that. You know, like Friday, May 2nd. Well, I only missed that one day and then have regretted it for 27 years. But I didn't also miss Monday, Cinco de Mayo, and Tuesday the 6th, and Wednesday the 7th. You know what I'm saying? I've never had an illness, for sure, from 5th grade onward, I don't think. I've never had one illness that kept me out of school or work for multiple days in a row. Certainly not in college. I mean, I don't ever remember missing because I was sick in college. But, you know, my 8th grade and senior year, I never missed any days for the common cold, ever. You know, I went to school like with basically in 8th grade all 9 colds, and in my senior year all 3 colds, which one of them was so mild it wasn't even worth a mention. And the one and only day I missed in those 2 years, 8th and 12th, were for a stomach ache. And if I didn't have this lifelong fear of, well, you can imagine, I probably wouldn't have missed that day. And then, you know, because when I look back on my absences, you know, because like my 7th grade year, the reason why Friday, May 2nd has stood out in my mind for this many years is because it was the one and only day in 7th grade where I missed school specifically because of a cold. Like, there was never any previous day in 7th grade where I missed, you know, strictly because I had a cold. Like on Friday, September the 13th, which was, it's coming up because it's 28 years later, I missed because that gave me a stomach ache. That, among other things, I just was having a stomach ache. And because I was 13 and it was Friday the 13th, I had this thing in my head about, you know, what that could possibly cause to happen because it was bad luck. But of course, you know, that didn't happen at home either. And of course, having this hunky male teacher, you know, that's just like my worst nightmare scenario. You know, the worst horror movie in the world couldn't be as bad as what I was afraid could happen. And yeah, I missed one day for a stomach ache, Friday the 13th in 96, Friday, September the 13th. And of course, I went to school the following December the 13th, which is also a Friday. And then those 2 days in November, I happened to be sick, but I missed because we went out of town. So it was really a family vacation of sorts, you could say. You know, if we hadn't been out of town, I may have gone to school, you know, sick or not. And then, of course, Martin Luther King Day, I went to school with that cold. But Friday, May 2nd, 1997 was the only day where I missed because of a cold. And another revelation that I've had is that because my sister's seventh grade year was also an election year, she also didn't have another May that looked the way, because hers happened to have a Friday the 13th. May in her seventh grade year had a Friday the 13th. And so it seems like she did miss a day in May. So let's say she missed Monday, May 2nd. Well, she also didn't get to experience Monday, May 2nd, because I think she did get sick toward the end of seventh grade, just like I had, and she missed school one day. So it's almost like deja vu. And then she gave me a milder case of it instead of a more severe case of it, that I would give my little sister occasionally. She would always have it worse than me. And it's just amazing how the same virus that had her vomiting all over the floor in the hallway might just have me sniffling for a week and sounding a little different. And so yeah, she she missed school toward the end of seventh grade. But there's just certain dates that don't happen as often because it takes longer to get a multiple of 7. And so the way it happened with her, because she had the leap day in the same grade levels that I had it, second, 6th, and 10th. 2, 6, and 10 were the leap days. And so she didn't have another Monday, May 2nd, didn't have another opportunity to go to school on that day. So let's say she missed, approximately Monday, May 2nd or something like that. I don't really remember, but some date in that range. Well, it's just like if I would have missed, let's say, Friday, January the 13th of my 5th grade year. Well, that happened to not occur. There was no other January the 13th that was a Friday while I was in school. So let's say I would have missed that day. I mean, I don't know that I did, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. Well, I didn't have any other opportunity to go to school, on that day. But most people wouldn't even notice that, but I just happened to, notice date patterns, So anyway, but it just, 7th grade, I only missed one day for a cold. 8th grade, I didn't miss any days for a cold, just one for a stomach ache. It was like February the 26th or something. I was having anxiety and about a number of things. Long story. But in 9th grade, I think the only time I missed, I may have missed 1 or 2 days. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe one in December, like around December 10th or something like that, and then maybe one in January. In my 10th grade year, I know only one absence had to do with a cold. That was in November. My junior year, no more than maybe 2, because like not all the absences were colds. And then my senior year, no absences for a cold. My college days, never, because if you want to pass the course, and I would only take like 2 classes a day or something like that. And so if you want to pass in college, you're not going to miss unnecessarily. Like, unless you are just absolutely cannot go, you're going to be there because you're not going to pass. You're going to get behind and not pass. And so with the few jobs I've had, I never wanted to miss, because of a cold, because it's like you don't get paid. I've never had a job where you got paid for the days that you miss. So I've always, done everything I could not to miss because of cold, because I just think that's ridiculous, for an adult to be so babyfied that a sniffle would keep them out of school or work. And so I just cannot, I just don't know, what's the matter with the men of today, that they just, what kind of man is going to go up to a boss and say, I'm sick, I can't go to work, and then they ask what's wrong, and it's some stupid respiratory illness. You're not puking up gallons of blood, you're not like on your deathbed, no, you just have the sniffles, and so you're not going to go to work. And so yeah, and honestly, I couldn't have possibly cared less about, other people catching it from me, because at the time, like when I was in junior high, the most important person to protect from it was, of course, my little sister. She was the most important person in my world, and the only person that, I truly worried about getting severely ill from it, because when you've seen a baby in the hospital, you kind of see them as being very fragile. And so the one person that I cared the most about not getting it was the one person that I would have to be around if I missed school, before she went to school. And if she already had it, or, she was the one who gave it to me, was usually how it went in 8th grade and high school, why would I care? If the most important people in my life, my mom, my sister, you know what I mean? If those people already had it, why would I care about John Doe average at school, or, my teachers at school that I wasn't going to have to deal with probably ever again, unless I had classes with that student. And in college, I rarely had the same people twice, or if I had them one semester, I rarely had those same students the following semester. It was no more than one person in maybe one class that I ever saw again. So there was such a high turnover that it's like, once the semester was over, I mean, you probably never deal with that person again. So, why would I care if they caught some random cold from me? Which they were probably going to get anyway from someone else if I didn't get them sick. So, yeah. Um, and so, yeah, it's just like, oh, yeah, well, I don't have much time left, but I just wanted to, talk about how, I'm going to be releasing a few songs this upcoming fall, and just gonna warn you that a lot of them have to do with colds, and just want to talk about how, like my biggest complaint about cartoons in general is, I mean, I just can't enjoy them anymore. Now that I'm well into my 40s, I just don't enjoy cartoons anymore. One of the things I've just always hated was the lack of colds, in shows that are supposed to be about children, you know, because I mean, to me, that's just ridiculous. That's like, shows where none of the teenagers have acne and none of the old people look old. And so, yeah, I just wanted to post this video and say I'm looking forward to the fall.